Hey, Crystal Maiden here, and welcome to part 3 of Minish Cat. I just collected the heart piece that I just unlocked. So this is Swiftblade. A lot of fans nickname him the Legolas brothers. I guess the Lord of the Rings reference. I never seen Lord of the Rings. I think Legolas looks like that. I don't know. So you have to learn the spin attack in this game because you don't have it naturally. And the spin attack was heavily nerfed in this game because it takes a ridiculously long time to charge. And this is kind of an annoying minigame. Because the reason it's annoying is because when you roll forwards a very restricted amount. So like it's very easy to roll past the cuckoo that you want to grab. And there's two different types of cuckoos. There's the white type that when you throw it, it will always run away from you in the direction that is headed. And well, I guess it's not always running away from you. It does stop after a while. But as you can see, I was moving to the northwest there to try to guide it so that I started running here. But unfortunately, wow, I'm surprised that I won that. Mysterious shells will be useful for something later. Why did they have to give you such a tiny wallet? I mean, what's the point? Why not just give us the max wallet at the very beginning of the game? I mean, in Pokemon, you don't have to do a bunch of mini games to earn that gigantic millions of dollars wallet that you have. So, like, why do they start you out with a wallet with such a tiny limit that it's unusable to begin with? Why don't they just start you out with a max wallet to begin with? I mean, in Link Between Worlds, you start out the game being able to hold 9,999 rupees. I still don't think it was quite enough though, but I guess that's because the game didn't have quite an effective rupee sync. I mean, it had the rental system, but you could still rent all the items you needed to before the Dark World, and well, not the Dark World, the facsimile of it, I guess. And part of the reason that I find this minigame really annoying is because they don't get rid of all of the NPCs that can block your path when you're trying to get the cuckoos. So you're gonna get really annoyed by villagers walking around everywhere because they'll constantly block your path. And combine that with the fact that you can attack the cuckoo there because it's a lot faster than picking it up and then throwing it. And the golden cuckoo is annoying because if you hold it in your hand for long enough, it'll fly out of your hand. And it'll be a lot harder to get it back. But yeah, they really should have made it so that all of the NPCs were gone from the village during this minigame. Having it so that you can run into the villagers and be stopped by them feels like a really cheap challenge to me. I do like the song though. When you throw the golden cuckoos, they still run away from you, but not nearly as long as the white cuckoos. And that golden cuckoo just sort of glitched into the fence there. It's a good thing I noticed that eventually and pick it up and throw it into the fence properly. Fun fact, if you stand close enough to the white cuckoo that's already in the gate, like that cuckoo right there, if it happens to be close enough to the fence and you try to pick it up, you'll actually be able to pick it up and you'll get it outside of the gate. And I'm not really sure if you can do the thing where you attack a cuckoo enough and a swarm of them fly at you, because it's really hard to do that when the only cuckoo you can really attack outside the minigame is behind a fence all the time. I think you can, though. I haven't showed it off, though. Because I think you'd have to wait around for a really long time until the cuckoo gets close enough to the fence that you can hit it in the first place. Most of the buildings that you can go into are closed by this point, so you won't be able to go into them until later. There's a lot of quirky villagers in this game. I feel like the NPCs have a lot more charm to them than in the previous Zelda games. Although I prefer the people of Link's Awakening just a little. Why does it take so long for his text box to show up? A fun fact about the Kindstone bag, it actually changes its sprite depending on how many stuff you have in it. Like, it can have a really big sprite where it's full. It's a nice touch. Like, they didn't have to do that, but I like how they made the extra effort. And again, the spin attack takes so long to charge up that, like, they mangled the spin attack in this game. I never feel a reason to use it. I mean, in most Zelda games I don't bother with the spin attack because it takes forever to charge up anyways, but in this game it's especially glaring. If you jump into a hole when you have a bomb in your hand, then you'll get a funny glitch where the hole will float, the bomb will float above the hole and eventually it'll explode. Oh, don't just hate when that happens. I needed rupees to continue the game, but I didn't have enough at the time because I spent all my money on boomerangs and stuff. So I had to do more of this. And once you reach a certain point in the cuckoo minigame, it'll be impossible for you to beat it without items that you'll get later on. And I didn't know when that point was. That's why I didn't want to do all of it at once. So I purchased the boomerang from Stockwell's shop, and the boomerang isn't that different from how it usually is in Zelda games, although I feel like you throw it a lot slower, and it's pretty unimpressive in its distance. I don't know if attacking that cuckoo was what won me the minigame or not, because she never tells you, like the whole concept of the minigame makes no sense. She wants you to get all of her cuckoos, but you have to do it under a time limit. Why do you have to have it under a time limit? What, do the cuckoos die of starvation? Like, you think she'd be thankful that you got her any cuckoos at all, even if you didn't get all of them under an arbitrary time limit. I mean, at least with the cuckoo minigame in Ocarina of Time, there is no time limit. Which is especially good because it's a 3D game, and so it's especially difficult to find all of the cuckoos when they're scattered all over the place, and they're really far away from each other, and it's a big village you have to search all the way through. The dialogue for these NPCs never actually changes no matter how much you progress in the game. It feels like the bakery is frozen in time because of that. And this is Tribly Heights. Well, it's called Trilby Heights, but I always called it Tribly Heights. It just, Trilby Heights sounds like a stupid name to me. Tribly Heights at least has an actual word in it. I hate how long it takes to climb up a vine. Like, I feel like you climb unnecessarily slow on it. I love the sound effect that it makes when the vine, like, it seems to be the exact same sound effect that is made when you get a vine to grow in Super Mario World. It's a nice touch, I like it. And I like the music that plays in Mount Crenel. The Tektites are pretty annoying though. It's easy for them to land on you when they're jumping around all over the place. But I like the music of Mount Crenel because it's really epic. Bombastic, I guess. I just went to a fairy fountain, and the fairies have been extremely nerfed in this game. You know how many hearts fairies restore in Minish Cap? 3. In A Link to the Past, they at least restored 7. And it almost completely destroys their usefulness, because, like, if you're fighting a really difficult boss battle, you're gonna get revived by a fairy, but it only restores 3 hearts, so then you die immediately afterwards anyways. I guess it's okay to have 1 fairy in a bottle, just in case you die before you can drink a potion. And you're never gonna need 4 potions. But you should always have the best potion rather than fairies in this game. These enemies are pretty annoying, but they're not nearly as annoying as they were in Link's Awakening. You don't have to get behind them all the time. Now that late hint was actually sort of relevant, because it sort of makes sense that he'd say that after you dealt with them. Because of course he knows that they're in no trouble because he just defeated them. But these guys are a lot easier than Link's Awakening because you can just pull off their mask, although it takes a couple seconds to do so. I love that line. I wonder if this is a great idea or a terrible one. His sprite looks kind of weird when you're using him like that, though. There are some enemies that you can't suck up with the Gust Jar. And you can suck up enemies with the Gust Jar and blast them at other enemies, like projectile. It takes so long to suck them up, though, that I don't really feel like it's worth it. And look, a cracked wall that isn't actually cracked. That's great game design. They have no excuse for continuing this tradition into a Game Boy Advance game. Although something I do like is that, well, in Link's Awakening you can only drop 1 bomb at a time. You had to wait for it to blow up. In this game, it's back to being able to drop multiple of them at once. And that's a nice touch there. There's flies that they're usually an inconvenience when you're a Minish. Well, you don't turn into a Minish, but you become Minish size, which is about the size of a human thumb. You can destroy those flies as a regular sized Link. You have to wait for the bomb to blow up the thing first, because if you don't, then the game will act like you never placed the bomb at all and you'll have wasted a bomb and the boulder won't be blown up. I would have shown these cutscenes off anyways because it's an LP, but you're always forced to watch that cutscene the first time you use one of those shrinkers. I don't know why he calls them portals, because they're not being brought to another dimension or anything. Maybe it's a mistranslation. The dialogue in this game is pretty good for the most part, though. It doesn't have any very glaring mistranslations like with Link to the Past, where Orca calls Zelda your sister. Well, he doesn't outright say it, but he, I guess, implies it in some people's eyes. You can't drink the Mount Crenel water. You can't use it to restore your health. There's only one thing that you can use it for. Well, actually 2 things, but that second thing you won't be able to use it for later. The red kind stones have 3 different types to them, but you get so many of them that it sort of wears out its welcome getting red kind stones as rewards after a while. I like how there's only 2 varieties of blue kind stones, but they're yet another color that you get way too many of. So, ironically enough, the most valuable kind stones to get as a reward are the green ones, because there's 3 different varieties of them, and every single time I play this game, there's one variety of green kind stones that I never have when I'm trying to fuse kind stones. And I hate that. I learned I hate that specific kind stone piece. And it wouldn't be a problem if it weren't for the fact that in Minish Cap, you can't go to a specific shop and buy specific varieties of kind stones. I'm sure you can buy green, blue, and red kind stones, but you can't buy the specific variety that you need. And that's really frustrating. Like, there's so many things about the Kindstone system that could have been improved on. I feel like it's flawed as a system, but it is a great addition to the game because it's very satisfying unlocking more treasure in the overworld and being able to have a sense of completionism where you collect it. Like, you make the overworld feel more complete. Even if it does require some backtracking to get that treasure in the first place, and the treasure itself is usually worthless because either it's a red Kindstone that you don't need, or it's a blue Kindstone that you don't need. Or it's money, but money is a lot more valuable in this game than in almost any other Zelda game. Because this game actually does rupee things really well. I hate that enemy. It clings onto you, and you can't attack while it's clung onto you, and you have to wait a few seconds before it jumps off you. I'll rant more about them later. Not much of a problem now. But anyways, rupees are actually very valuable in this game because there's a lot more you can spend money on here. Like, you can spend money on upgrades and stuff, and you can also spend money on Kindstones. Although there's only 2 places, as far as I can remember right now, where you can buy Kindstones, and with one of them, again, you can't buy specific varieties, you can only buy specific colors. And once you buy that specific color, you have to buy all the other colors first before you can get to buy another green Kindstone. And with the other shop, you can only buy a random color of Kindstone, which really sucks. That area is something we'll be going back to later. I'll see you in the next part.